Wait, before your eyes move to anything else, allow this single moment to remain with you. Something unusual has been unfolding around you, so quietly that only those who slow down long enough can recognize it. You did not arrive here by accident. There is a reason this message crossed your path today, and if you leave too quickly, you may never realize what was trying to reach you all along. Have you noticed how certain memories have returned without warning? A familiar feeling. A face appearing in your thoughts when nothing around you should have reminded you of them. Small moments that seem disconnected, yet somehow form a pattern. Most people dismiss these moments as coincidence. But what if they are not random at all? What if every unexpected reminder has been leading toward this very conversation? Something has shifted within the heart of your soulmate. Not yesterday. Not months ago. It is happening now, while time continues to move quietly forward. There is a message they have been trying to express, but words have repeatedly failed them. Every attempt has been interrupted by hesitation, uncertainty, or the feeling that the timing was never quite right. Yet the desire to reach you has only grown stronger. Stay with this message a little longer, because what comes next may explain why certain emotions have become impossible to ignore. Imagine someone standing before countless doors, opening each one, hoping the next will finally lead them closer to you. That is what this unseen journey has felt like. Not dramatic. Not chaotic. Just deeply persistent. Every day they have carried a silent question within themselves. What if I wait too long? That question has become louder than their doubts. You may not have heard their voice, but something inside you already has. That quiet pull you could never fully explain. The strange peace mixed with curiosity, the sense that someone is thinking about you even when the world feels completely ordinary. Those feelings did not appear without purpose. There are moments in life when two separate paths begin bending toward one another long before either person realizes it. Those moments never announce themselves. They arrive softly. Almost invisibly. Until suddenly everything begins making sense. Pause for just a second. What if this is one of those moments? What if the message trying to reach you has already traveled farther than you can imagine? Your soulmate has reached a place where silence no longer feels comfortable. They have replayed conversations that never happened. They have imagined what they would say if they suddenly found themselves standing in front of you. Again and again, the same feeling returns. I cannot leave these words unspoken forever. That realization changes people. It changes the way they look at tomorrow. It changes the decisions they make today. Sometimes the greatest turning points never begin with action. They begin with clarity. And clarity is exactly what has started growing inside the person connected to your future. They no longer wish to wonder what might have been. They are beginning to understand that some connections deserve courage instead of endless waiting. Before this story moves further, ask yourself something very quietly. Have you also been preparing without realizing it? Perhaps every challenge you overcame, every lesson you learned, every disappointment that made you stronger, was shaping your ability to recognize the right person when the moment finally arrived. The future often speaks through preparation long before it speaks through arrival. That is why your path has not been empty. It has been intentional. Even the delays carried hidden purpose. Even the unanswered questions were creating space for a better answer. You might think this story is only about someone searching for you. But it is also about you becoming ready to receive what once would have passed unnoticed. Notice how life has been changing your perspective lately. The things that once seemed important no longer carry the same weight. Your attention has quietly shifted toward peace, honesty, and connections that feel genuine instead of temporary. That change did not happen by chance. It happened because your next chapter requires a different version of you. And somewhere beyond what your eyes can currently see, another person has been changing in remarkably similar ways. Different journeys. The same destination. Take another moment before moving on, because the next revelation will uncover why the distance between both of you has started shrinking in ways neither of you expected. What has been hidden is beginning to reveal itself one piece at a time. And once you see the pattern, you may never look at these recent moments the same way again. There is one detail you have not seen yet, and once you recognize it, the entire picture begins to change. The distance between two people is not always measured by miles. Sometimes it is measured by unanswered questions, quiet assumptions, or moments when both hearts were ready but neither knew the other had arrived at the same realization. Your soulmate has been standing at the edge of such a moment, feeling an invisible pull they can no longer explain away. Think about this carefully. Why do certain people suddenly reappear in your thoughts after weeks or even months of silence? Why do ordinary days unexpectedly carry an unusual feeling, as though something meaningful is approaching without revealing its name? Those moments are often invitations to pay attention. Your soulmate has begun noticing similar patterns. A familiar song pauses their thoughts. A random conversation reminds them of qualities they have always admired. Even in the busiest moments, their mind quietly returns to one question. What if the person I have been searching for has been closer than I believed? That question refuses to disappear. Do not rush past this part, because another layer is about to unfold. Something inside them has changed from hoping to deciding. There comes a point when uncertainty grows heavier than action. That point has finally arrived. They no longer wish to let fear decide their future. Instead of waiting endlessly for the perfect circumstance, they have started preparing themselves emotionally for the possibility that the next opportunity must not be ignored. That inner decision creates powerful momentum. Momentum changes choices. Choices change timelines. And timelines create moments that once seemed impossible. You may have felt unusually reflective recently. Perhaps you have been looking back, not with regret, but with understanding. Experiences that once felt confusing now seem to carry unexpected lessons. You are beginning to recognize that every chapter shaped your ability to appreciate something genuine when it finally appears. Your soulmate has been walking through a remarkably similar transformation. Neither of you became who you are overnight. Growth happened quietly. One realization at a time. One lesson after another. One unexpected turning point after the next. Stay with this message just a little longer, because what follows may explain why this connection feels different from anything you have experienced before. Imagine two clocks placed in separate rooms. For years they move independently. Then one day, without either clock being touched, their rhythm begins matching perfectly. Life sometimes works the same way. People who are meant to cross paths often spend long seasons becoming ready before their timing finally aligns. That alignment has already begun. Not loudly. Not dramatically, but steadily. Your soulmate has started believing that waiting forever is no longer the answer. They are becoming more willing to trust honesty than uncertainty, and that quiet shift is opening possibilities that once felt unreachable. Perhaps this message found you because you also needed one simple reminder. Never underestimate what quiet preparation can accomplish. Some of the greatest moments begin long before anyone else notices them. If these words have brought you a sense of calm or hope, let your thoughts be heard in the comments. Someone reading them may find encouragement they needed today. And if journeys like this speak to your heart, you are always welcome to stay connected by subscribing, so you never miss the next chapter waiting to unfold. Now listen closely. The next part is not about coincidence. It is about recognition. Because there is one final piece your soulmate is beginning to understand about you, something they could not fully see before. Once that realization becomes complete, the direction of this story changes in a way neither of you expected. The silence has already started breaking. The question is no longer whether a message exists. The question is whether you will recognize it when it finally arrives. Have you ever felt as though life became unusually quiet, not because nothing was happening, but because something important was preparing to enter at exactly the right moment? That quiet is where the next chapter begins. Your soulmate has reached a place where they no longer search for signs everywhere. Instead, they have started listening to the truth growing within themselves. For a long time they believed they needed absolute certainty before taking another step. Now they understand something entirely different. Some of life's greatest moments begin before certainty ever arrives. They begin with courage. That realization has changed everything. Picture someone standing on the edge of a new path at sunrise. Behind them is every unanswered question they carried for far too long. Ahead of them is a future they cannot fully see, but for the first time, they are willing to walk toward it anyway. Your soulmate is entering that season. And somehow, your presence has become part of the future they keep imagining. Do not move on yet. The next few moments may reveal why this message found you today instead of yesterday. There was a time when they convinced themselves that silence was the safest choice. They believed waiting would somehow create the perfect opportunity. But silence has a strange habit. The longer it lasts, the louder the heart becomes. Every passing day has gently reminded them that meaningful connections deserve honesty more than hesitation. The thoughts they once ignored have returned with greater clarity. The feelings they tried to set aside now feel impossible to dismiss. It is no longer about wondering. It is about understanding. You may have sensed a similar shift inside yourself. Perhaps your expectations have become simpler. You no longer seek perfect words. You value genuine intentions. You no longer chase every opportunity. You recognize the difference between noise and purpose. That change matters more than you realize. Because when two people grow in the same direction, even from different places, they begin recognizing each other in ways that go far beyond first impressions. Stay for a little longer. The most meaningful part is only beginning to unfold. Imagine receiving a letter that has been traveling for years. Not because it was lost, but because it could only arrive after both the sender and the receiver were ready to understand every word inside. That is what this connection resembles. Not delayed. Prepared. Every experience you've lived through has quietly strengthened your ability to appreciate something lasting instead of temporary. Every challenge refined your perspective. Every unexpected turn taught you patience. Even the moments that felt like endings were quietly making room for a beginning you could not yet imagine. Your soulmate has been learning those same lessons from a different road. And now those roads are beginning to move toward the same horizon. Before this message ends, remember one important thought. Never believe that meaningful things always arrive with loud announcements. Sometimes they arrive as a quiet feeling that refuses to leave. A peaceful certainty that grows stronger with every passing day. A calm confidence that whispers, "Keep looking forward." Because the future is already taking shape. If you have stayed until this moment, perhaps you were meant to hear this final reminder. Do not measure your journey by how long it has taken. Measure it by how deeply it has prepared you. The person trying to reach you is no longer searching for temporary answers. They are searching for something genuine, steady, and real. And perhaps that is why this message found you today. Not to promise instant outcomes. Not to predict exact moments. But to remind you that some connections become stronger every time both people choose growth over fear, hope over doubt, and patience over rushing. The next chapter of this story has not been written by chance. It is being shaped one quiet decision at a time. And somewhere, just beyond what today can reveal, two journeys are continuing to move toward the same destination, closer than they have ever been before. There is one final truth that has been waiting patiently for this exact moment. And if you have come this far, perhaps you were always meant to hear it. Your soulmate is no longer asking the same questions they once asked. The uncertainty that once surrounded their heart has slowly been replaced by quiet confidence. They have stopped searching for endless signs because they have discovered something far more valuable. Peace. Real peace never arrives through pressure. It arrives when the heart finally recognizes what has been present all along. That recognition is beginning to reshape everything. For a long time, they believed the right moment would announce itself with dramatic events. Instead, they found something unexpected. They realized that the greatest turning points often arrive gently, disguised as ordinary days that later become unforgettable memories. Perhaps today is one of those days. Stay until these final words, because they complete the picture that has been unfolding since the beginning. Imagine watching the sunrise from behind a mountain. For hours the world appears unchanged. Then, within only a few moments, everything becomes illuminated. The light did not suddenly begin existing, it had been approaching the entire time. Some connections unfold exactly like that. Quietly. Patiently. Beautifully. Your soulmate has begun trusting that what truly belongs in their future deserves honesty instead of hesitation. Every lesson they have learned has brought them closer to becoming the version of themselves capable of protecting, appreciating, and valuing a meaningful connection. And perhaps the same has been happening within you. You may not have noticed every small change, but they have been happening. Your patience became strength. Your questions became wisdom. Your waiting became preparation. Nothing was wasted. Even the chapters that felt uncertain were quietly building the foundation for something much greater than you could see at the time. Take one more thoughtful pause. What if every unexpected delay was giving both hearts enough time to become ready for the next season? Sometimes life protects what matters by allowing it to grow before revealing it. That is why this story has never been about rushing. It has always been about becoming. If this journey has brought you comfort or inspired you to look at your own path with fresh hope, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Your story may encourage someone who needed these words today. And if these messages continue to bring clarity to your heart, you are always welcome to subscribe so we can continue exploring these meaningful journeys together. Now hear this closing thought. Do not spend your days wondering whether every small coincidence carries a hidden answer. Instead, keep becoming the person your future is already preparing you to be. The strongest connections are built through authenticity, kindness, patience, and courage. Those qualities never lose their value. As this message comes to an end, remember that the future is not asking you to live in fear of missing something. It is inviting you to remain open to growth, to meaningful conversations, and to the opportunities that arrive when both people are ready to recognize each other with clear hearts. Your soulmate's desire to reach you is not a race against time. It is a reminder that genuine connections become stronger when they are nurtured with understanding instead of urgency. Carry that thought with you today. The next chapter of your journey is not waiting for perfection. It is waiting for presence. And sometimes, that single choice changes everything. You may think the message has already reached its end, but there is one quiet revelation that has remained hidden until now. If you listen closely, you will notice something remarkable. The urgency was never meant to create fear. It was meant to awaken awareness. There is a difference between rushing through life and recognizing the moments that truly deserve your attention. This is one of those moments. Your soulmate has discovered that the greatest distance was never created by time. It was created by assumptions. Assumptions that feelings would somehow be understood without being expressed. Assumptions that tomorrow would always provide another opportunity. Assumptions that the right words could wait forever. But hearts grow wiser. And wisdom changes everything. There comes a season when silence no longer feels like protection. It begins to feel like a door that has remained closed for far too long. That is the realization quietly unfolding within them. Every day they become a little more certain that meaningful connections are not meant to remain hidden behind endless hesitation. Stay with this final chapter. One last piece is about to complete the story. Imagine two travelers looking at the same horizon from opposite sides of a valley. Neither can see the other's footsteps, yet both are walking toward the same light. They cannot measure each other's progress, but with every step, the distance grows smaller. Life often works that way. Progress is happening even when it cannot yet be measured. Perhaps you have wondered why your perspective has changed recently. Why things that once demanded your attention no longer seem important. Why your heart values sincerity over appearances and peace over endless uncertainty. Those changes are not random. They are evidence of growth. Growth prepares people for the kind of connection that can endure changing seasons instead of fading when circumstances shift. Your soulmate has been learning that same lesson. Not through perfect days, but through ordinary moments that quietly reshape their understanding of what truly matters. And now, something inside them refuses to settle for unanswered possibilities. Listen carefully. This is the message they wish they could place directly into your hands. If our paths are truly meant to cross, I want to meet that moment with honesty, kindness, and courage, not with regret over words I never spoke. Sometimes the most meaningful message is also the simplest. Choose authenticity. Choose patience. Choose hope. Those choices never lose their value. Before this story closes completely, ask yourself one final question. When the next meaningful opportunity appears in your own life, will you recognize it? Not because it arrives with perfect certainty, but because you have become the kind of person who notices what truly matters. That is the quiet transformation this journey has been leading toward from the very beginning. Every reflection, every pause, every unexpected thought, every lesson. Together they have been preparing you to see your future with greater clarity than before. Carry this reminder with you after today's message ends. Do not measure your life by what has not happened yet. Measure it by the wisdom you have gained, the peace you have built, and the courage you continue to develop. Those are the qualities that create lasting connections. Those are the qualities that allow extraordinary chapters to begin. And somewhere beyond today's horizon, another heart continues moving forward with the same quiet intention. To become ready for a future built not on chance, but on mutual understanding, genuine respect, and unwavering hope. This message has now found its destination. What you choose to carry from it becomes part of the journey that lies ahead. Just when it seems every unanswered thought has settled, one final layer quietly begins to reveal itself. Look back for a moment, not with regret, but with understanding. Every chapter of your journey has carried a lesson that only became visible after you walked through it. At the time, it felt like waiting. Now it looks more like preparation. That is the hidden pattern. Your soulmate has begun seeing the same pattern unfold in their own life. There were conversations they never started. Moments they almost walked away from. Dreams they nearly convinced themselves to forget. Yet every experience gently redirected them toward one realization they could no longer ignore. The connection they truly wanted was never built on perfection. It was built on sincerity. That understanding has changed the way they see tomorrow. No longer are they hoping that life will simply arrange everything for them. Instead, they are becoming someone who values honesty over hesitation, clarity over confusion, and meaningful actions over endless waiting. Stay with these closing moments. They carry the quiet answer that has been growing beneath every previous chapter. Imagine planting a tree. For weeks, nothing seems to happen above the ground. Many people would assume nothing is changing. But beneath the surface, unseen roots are spreading deeper every single day. When the first leaves finally appear, people call it sudden growth. Yet the real work happened long before anyone could see it. Your story has been unfolding in exactly the same way. So has your soulmate's. The strongest foundations are almost always invisible at first. That is why you should never judge your future by what is visible today. Some of the most meaningful developments happen quietly, where patience does its greatest work. Perhaps you have noticed yourself becoming calmer in situations that once overwhelmed you. Perhaps you have become more selective about who deserves your energy. Perhaps your heart has started choosing peace instead of proving itself to everyone. Those are not small changes. They are signs of maturity. They are the kind of changes that create room for relationships built on trust rather than uncertainty. And somewhere, your soulmate has been making remarkably similar discoveries. Not because your lives are identical, but because growth often prepares two people in parallel before their paths naturally intersect. Take one last thoughtful pause. What if the message you believed was coming from someone else has also been speaking to you from within? What if every reminder to stay hopeful, to remain kind, and to keep moving forward has quietly been shaping the future you are walking toward? That possibility changes everything. Because it reminds you that the journey has never been about chasing what is out of reach. It has been about becoming ready for what is genuinely meant to enter your life. As this chapter closes, carry one simple truth into tomorrow. Do not fear the chapters that have not arrived yet. Welcome them with curiosity. Continue becoming someone who values honesty, compassion, patience, and quiet confidence. Those qualities never lose their power. The message that seemed so urgent at the beginning was never asking you to panic. It was inviting you to pay attention. To your own growth. To your own wisdom. To the quiet opportunities that appear when you are fully present. Because sometimes the most important message is not the one that changes your future overnight. It is the one that changes the way you see yourself. And once that happens, every path ahead begins to look brighter than the one behind.